We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Rundown with Silva. My name is Tyler Silva. Accompanying me on the cameras is my boy Justin Reed, and behind the faders, as always, Jeremy Daniels of Comic Soup Recording.
What is up?
My guest today is an extremely talented individual who has a lot of new music coming out. You may have seen some of his music videos. You may have heard some of his songs. Give it up for my boy, Comptalo. Comptalo.
Yes.
Everyone, welcome Comptalo.
What up?
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Dude, thank you for coming out, and thank you for your patience. I know it took a little bit of time for us to set up, so thank you so much, dude. Yeah. How have you been?
I've been so good.
Dude, you've been hard at work.
I've been busy, it just seems like I'm like hit this never-ending line of stuff to work on, and I've never seen an end to it for the past like 2.5 years. I'm like, where's the finish line, man? I keep like every time it's like, oh, here's a song, but I'm gonna start a new one, and then I just never have.
When I met you, when I was first introduced to you, I saw you playing guitar and doing other things, and now you've really hit this crazy, I don't really know how to call this genre, but what you've been hitting is this really gnarly, like, hip-hop rap hybrid of music that you've been hitting. How would you describe your sound? Like, I feel like I'm doing a terrible job.
The best thing for what I always say is just the most simple thing is just experimental hip-hop. I feel like because I'm doing so many different things, not like no two of my projects sound similar. Like my voice is the same, obviously, but like the sound of like the instrumentation is just different on every record. So I just call it experimental hip hop because I'm never like staying in one little place ever. I'm always constantly like doing different stuff.
And it's wild too, because in your music, I hear these really, really articulate verses in this crazy tone of voice that I've never heard before. And then I hear these awesome fucking melodies when it comes to something like a chorus or a hook or whatever you would want to call it, And what is that like on you? Or how did you come up with this? Like this?
Well, Comptalo has been like a thing for me. I got my first like recording equipment in 2008, I think it was. It was like a little 8-track Tascam board, and I came up with the name Comptalo while I was still in school, and that's what I used to do in my free time. And I would just make shitty songs, and it like how it was when we first started being musicians.
Dude,
there's a long way. Like AC/DC said, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, and it just takes a long time to get to there. So I did that for like many years, and I started doing like solo stuff, just singing, nothing sounding like what I'm doing now. And I've just kind of like slowly evolved into a hip hop thing because I just have always like had this love for rap music and hip hop growing up and stuff. So, and I come from a background of being in like metal bands most of the time. So I'd always be like the rah-rah screaming guy in every band. So that was like my voice for the longest time. And I really wanted to incorporate that sound into like a Mac Miller-esque like hip hop sound type thing where it's like really like creative sounding and like putting like that metal vocal behind it. And it's just been like the last few years I've just been really honing in like different voices I can do and like different, and I've gotten to be able to pitch my voice that I have never been able to do with that like gruff before. So it's just been a long trial and error of just trying different things and seeing what people reacted the most positively to,
Dude, and I would almost say, like, some of your delivery is in tone is like so Flatbush Zombie to me. I'm like,
the Michi Darko.
Dude, I love it.
I love Michi. I want to do a song with Michi. You hear that, Michi?
I'm sure he loves this podcast. No, dude, like that was like one of the first things that came to mind. Like, I'm like, dude, this is so like Flatbush Zombie, but like in like such a different spin of things, and it's extremely unique what you're doing. What goes into this? Because you don't necessarily do all this alone, because you do have some people featured on your tracks and things like that, correct?
Yeah, I think no two songs have had the same process. But typically, like, usually what I'll do is I'll always start like a foundation. Sometimes I'll finish the instrumentation on a song by myself completely before I even send it to another artist. Sometimes I've worked with artists that helped me create the song. Like I've worked with local bands from around town, like the Woodworks, and I just worked with Let Alone on a track recently. And sometimes I'll have the whole foundation of the song there, and then I'll just be like, here's, like spit a verse, between these two times or whatever. And but other times it's like I'm getting them over to my place, or I'm going to their house and we're tracking them playing instruments on it. So I've had, I really enjoy the collaboration process because it's helped me become like this out of the box sound that has no consistencies because I'm constantly working with different collaborators.
That's awesome, dude. So, and like it's pretty DIY too.
Oh, it is. I record all of this stuff in the corner of my bedroom. I took the closet doors off of my closet because I have so much music equipment in there, and it's just like falling out of the closet. And I sit in this little corner on a laptop, and I have a bigger monitor plugged into it. But I just work super DIY. I do all the mixing and mastering myself, or record everything myself, unless I'm working with someone else and they send me a track. But
Did your I guess like spark for music or anything like that? Did it start with like you just playing guitar or like piano or?
It was AC/DC, and it was Dirty Deeds was like my first like cassette tape I ever owned, and that was like where my love for music started. And I've always liked that really like in your face music. I've always been drawn to that, I like metal music a lot and stuff. So I've always kind of like taken that like that hypeness of that music and like that really in your face, and I've always like carried that with me forever in any project I've been in. It's always like
yeah. How we were kind of talking about it outside, but we were talking about how hard like the COVID times were on us and things like that. And me personally, like my biggest struggle when COVID hit was like it was extremely hard to be inspired to write or do anything. Like I was feeling so uncreative. Was that like an issue for you or?
Before COVID, I was in a band called Moods, Birds, and Monsters, and we were like doing a bunch of cool stuff at the time.
You guys were doing really cool stuff.
I felt like we were really starting to go places to be able to do bigger things, and like I felt like we were going there. And then COVID happened, and like that shit stopped. Like it was like overnight, it was gone. So, and I didn't want to like be. I can't be like idle, you know what I mean? Like I can't like not be doing something, or else like I get in my head and it's just like it's a mess. So I got Ableton, which at the leading up to that point, everything I had done as Comptalo had been on that same 8-track board that I bought in 2008. So then I got Ableton, and I just used that time. I still had to work through the pandemic, but there was no music stuff after work, so I had all that extra free time, and I learned how to use this software. And I feel like for a lot of people, COVID kind of ruined creativity for a lot of people because they didn't have, people weren't getting together and there was no outlet. But I had that, and I feel like I really thrived through that time in terms of my art. And it was just, I learned so much through that period, and I made a lot of friends through that period without even like having to be in the same room with them. Me and Danger Paul became friends. I actually had COVID and I was like bored. I had to be off for 2 weeks from work and I was sick, but we were sending tracks back and forth, and we created, to me, what is the best song I've ever done. It's Secrets. And in turn, those friendships I created through that time sparked the band that backs Comptalo now when we play out live. And it's just, it was a really negative time, but I feel like I had a lot of come ups through it in terms of being a musician.
What do you think it was for you? I mean, coming from someone who was extremely uninspired during that time. The biggest thing I had to do was actually this podcast when that was going on, because I needed to keep my own head. I needed to talk to my friends. I needed to talk to other musicians.
Mm-hmm.
How did you? I mean, was there something that helped you keep your cool and like keep doing the things that you do? I know it's like a super weird, like vague, open-ended question, but
I feel like even though the getting together and like doing band practices once, twice a week or whatever, like that stopped, but like I didn't stop seeing my bandmates through that time. So I still felt like I was
nice.
I was still kind of like in that routine of seeing, which, we just started out as a band and we became like best friends through that time. And I still saw those guys. So in a way I felt like through that time, I still had that piece,
Yeah.
So it kind of like helped me keep my head up because we were writing songs at the time that we broke up, and we had a bunch of new stuff written, and it was just Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. It's a weird
super
time, and it flew by like that, dude. It was like it feels like that was like just yesterday, but it's for like 3 years almost from that point now.
Yeah, you were talking about Ableton
Hmm.
earlier, and just want to circle back. Could you explain a little bit, maybe to some of the listeners, and especially my dumbass? Can you explain this software a little bit to us and what it is?
Ableton is a DAW, which is a digital audio workstation or workspace. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But basically, it's like it's one of the I feel like a standard for recording artists nowadays, at least in the genre that I'm in. I feel like a lot of people use Ableton, but basically it's just a way to record your music, and you can manipulate things with because it's mostly used for like I feel like hip hop and EDM. So there's like I use a lot of those elements in my music, and I feel that with Ableton you can really just create anything that you want.
Is it almost like a grid view, and you're taking samples and things like that
Yeah,
down? And
yeah, it's like a grid view, and everything is you can set your BPMs and your tempos and all that stuff, and you can chop and splice. It's mostly used for sampling and stuff, and that's a big part of my sound too, is using samples and stuff. So the software really just speaks to my music really well, and has helped me go more forward with that.
nice, dude. Side note for everybody, if you hear some music in the background, we are at Cosmic Soup Recording, and our homies are fucking jamming next door, so get over it. That's what we do here. But dude, that's really cool. When it comes to a lot of that software things, again, I'm so dumb when it comes to any of this. But what kind of equipment do you have to have? Do you have a good running computer? Do you need
I mean, a good running computer is ideal, but like my setup is pretty like I need a better setup.
Oh,
Like I'm just
really?
running off of like a really shitty laptop right now. It's not that bad, but it's getting to the point I've used it so much. It's like, all right, like you need more space, bro.
I mean, just having something as, what you're describing as shitty, you are still coming out with some pretty fucking dope shit. Do you take like a base idea from your shitty computer and take it somewhere else, or do you just do everything in house?
Everything in house. I feel like in today's day and age, if you're doing the kind of music that I'm doing, like you can really get pro level sound out of your home setup these days. Where you start running into issues with that is when you start recording full bands and stuff. Like you need the right compressors and drum mics and stuff. But like I feel like you can get like if you have good sample packs and stuff, like you can get really pro sounding stuff on your own, regardless of what setup. I work with a lot of artists that use FL Studio and
Fruity Loops, right?
is that what FL is?
Jeremy, you're the guy.
Is FL no?
Yeah, no. It's Fruity Loops. Yeah, they kind of went to FL Studio, but yeah, anybody
not know that.
old like me, yeah, it's the original like Fruity Loops, and so you would just bring in different loops and
Samples and whatnot.
yeah. So dude, it's OG.
I
Did not know
remember,
that.
yeah, I remember when I was in high school, but like a lot of dudes who were rapping or whatever, like at home, they were using
Fruity
Fruity
Loops
Loops.
beats,
Yeah,
yeah.
they were using Fruity Loops for everything.
I know.
A lot of guys were, even like pop punk guys and stuff like that, when the pop punk really started dipping into like experimental sounds, like with samples and stuff and
Yeah.
808s. I just remember always hearing Fruity Loops.
Fruity Loops.
Yeah,
It was a big name.
it was a huge name. Like,
It's like the most affordable option.
oh yeah, for sure.
DAWs get expensive.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm not even smart enough. Like, there's a reason I have like a small crew here is because I'm not smart enough to use any of this shit like at all when it comes to cameras, editing video, sound. Like, there's just so much that goes into it, and for what you're doing, using this software Ableton and on such a limited equipment that you have, and what you're making is quite fucking impressive.
Thanks, man.
You have some other people that are featured on some of your songs when it comes to either instruments or vocals and things like
Mhm.
that. When you do a feature, are you also recording them in house?
It depends on the artist, really. A majority of the people that I work with, they have home setups that they send me everything. When I worked with the Woodworks, they had a song, like a specific song that I really liked that they put out through the pandemic, and I wanted to like sample it, so I asked for their permission to sample their song, and they sent me like all their stems and stuff, and then I like Frankenstein this new song together, their 5/4 song. I structured it into 4/4, and then sent it back to them, and then they recorded new stuff over their own song. So like majority that's my process is just like bouncing stuff. I hardly record people in house unless it's like, you know, some of the super close homies that come through.
Do you ever come to any like obstacles with that? Be like, hey, you sent me this track, but it's like blown out, or it's like it's not loud enough, or
I've had some issues, but I can like pretty much fix anything unless it's like really peaky or clippy or something, you know. But
yeah,
most of the time people send me pretty good tracks. Like everyone seems to know, you know, what's
working
what's
with
up.
professionals.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice to be able to do that.
That's awesome, dude. That's fucking great. What is these songs that you have, especially when you have like room for collaborations and things like that, what does your writing process look like? I mean, are you starting with a beat? Are you starting with like either a verse you have in mind or like a melody? Like what do you think your writing process really stems off of? Like you take a seed and grow it into a fucking tree.
Yeah, usually majority of my songs, even if I'm working with collaborators, like I'll get like a skeleton of a song put together. And I've worked with Ableton so much now, like I don't hear songs, like I see songs because I like color coordinate all my tracks and stuff and like parts, so I can like know like red is, you know, this whatever,
Like a snare or like a kick or
yeah, like, and I'll have everything labeled, so I like see songs now. And now that I've been able to do that, like I structure songs that way, and I just like know that like I need, you know, this many bars or whatever. And then usually I'll get a skeleton if I'm working with my band, the Humanauts. Usually I'll just get a skeleton. I do a lot of sampling and stuff, but I hardly ever like use sampling to be like, I'm going to steal, you know, whatever this is. I use it more as like an instrument, using bits and pieces of songs and like pitching them and doing different things to them. So it's more of like a keyboard effect, and I can like pull like have it do different notes and stuff like that. And then I'll send that structure to like the band, and then the band will play live instrumentation over it, and we'll get the drummer on it and do all that stuff.
So you're like basically scratch tracking songs on your own with this software, sending it out to your homies, and then like really molding it after that, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, and then building it and letting when I work with people, you know, I let them have total creative freedom. You know, when I work with a rapper, I typically like to start working with the rapper on just a beat, because if I'm working with you as an artist, like I want your brain and like what your brain does with music. And
you make all these beats in house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I've worked with one other producer on a project I put out earlier in 2022, but that was like the first time I've ever worked with someone who didn't like I had just took his skeleton of a beat and then made it into a song, and that was the first time I've ever done that.
Can you tell us a little bit about your instrumental background?
Yeah, I started playing guitar. Got my first guitar, I think I was 12, 11.
And that's where you started? You started in guitar?
Started on guitar. I've always, you know, I always wanted to be Angus Young, you know. I always wanted to like be able to shred and do that. So I picked up a guitar. Didn't really start learning how to play it until I was a freshman in high school, so I was probably like 13. Started there, played guitar through high school, learning how to play guitar. I'd had a Line 6 Spider 2.
I can't even express how much Line 6 has saved my life in my music career.
We like to shit on Line 6, but I mean, honestly, like they've been there for us.
They've been there for us so hard. I remember one time when me and Elliot were just starting Rundown, and we played I couldn't even call it venue, but we played in some warehouse somewhere, and I blew out my amp.
Oh, shit.
And Clayton from he was in Brian Cooper's Ghost. He was in Jesus Christ.
Simple Malfunction.
Thank you, Simple Mal. Thank you so much, Jeremy. But his dad, God rest his soul, they came out as soon as I blew my amp and gave me a Line 6, and they're like, keep it. And I used that Line 6 for like probably a year and a half, 2 years, just playing shows with it. And it's in Rundown Roommates, you know, I only need so much. I need pretty much an overdrive, you know, overdrive with the Telecaster that I'm using. Mm-hmm. And it's great because I can, you know, as much volume as I put in is as much like distortion, I would almost say I get out of it.
Yeah.
You know, so for my quieter parts or like that I need like a little bit cleaner, just turn it down, and when I need like way more to fill, I just turn it up. And dude, Line 6 has always been there for us, like to say the least. I still use a Line 6 multi-effect pedal just at home when I'm
the
diddling.
little four stop.
I got the 2-stop one with a wah pedal that no longer works.
Oh, with those wah pedals with the rubber tops on them?
It doesn't work anymore. Yeah, it does not work anymore, but I still use it to this day. I love it, man. And I think, too, like with the way that things are going, talking about Ableton, talking about softwares, talking about, how much we can just do at home, easily Line 6 could be the future of things if they really wanted to be.
Well, I mean, we're not far off. I mean, it's kind of like that now. Like, I know a lot of people that are using like those guitar rigs that are like, you don't even need an amp. Like, you just plug your board, your emulating board or whatever into the PA, and that's really good. I've seen a lot of bands play with those, and it's like, honestly, like loud ass bar, I can't tell the difference, dude.
I play with such a simple setup, and Elliot Diggs, who is going to be here in 10 minutes. He's fucking running late and being a dickhead. But
dick.
Yeah, absolute fucking dick. You know him well, and seeing, living with him and watching him make these circuits for stomp boxes and things like that, and seeing his pedal board, even when he plays bass and things like that, and just to know my setup is so simple. When as a musician and the things that you do musically, do you have so many stomp boxes or things that you're going through, or like how do you experiment with? Let's just start with guitar sounds, because I know you like really experiment with a lot of things. But as a guitar player, I'm really curious to know, like, what do you play with when it comes to that?
It depends on what project I'm working on. I've had the same pedal board set up for probably like 4 or 5 years now. I haven't changed it.
What does it look like?
It's a big old thing right here. I got like maybe 9 pedals on it.
And what is it like? Do you have EQ pedals? Do you have like a wah pedal?
I run everything first through a compressor pedal that I just always keep on, and then I run that through my preamp pedal that I have. It's like a little handmade Billy Brain. Super nice. They're all handmade, and then running that into like a flange pedal. And I can't remember the name of it right now. It's the Jimi Hendrix one. Actually, Elliot let me borrow his like years ago, and I was like, I love this pedal. And then he's like, I need that pedal back, and I was like, so I ended up buying one for myself. It's like, I need this now. This is part of my sound now. And then I run that through a wah, and then I have a couple different distortions. For when I was in a metal band and like an alternative rock band at the same time, so I couldn't use like the same tone. So I have 2 different distortion pedals back to back for those 2 different projects. But and then I run all of that through a MXR analog delay pedal, which is like, that's like my whole sound. I love that echoey, like that's like my stuff. I love Pink Floyd and stuff.
I'm a big Gaslight Anthem fan, and I watched on YouTube. I watched a rig rundown from their lead guitarist, and it was so wild. He had this very laid out pedal board, and he ran like his high ends into like one amp and his low ends into another, and then his timed effects into one amp, and then his like direct tones like distortion overdrives into another, and they would come out in some mix. I was like, this is the most fucking crazy thing I've ever seen to just get these sounds.
That was so much gear to lug around.
Dude, the amount of gear they showed off, I was like, Jesus Christ. What kind of gear, when you are playing guitar, I know you haven't done Moons, Birds, and Monsters for a while, which is really where I met you from and things like that. But what was your, like, what did you lug around when you were doing that?
Gretsch Duo Jet. I had 12s on it. That was like, I miss playing that guitar. I haven't played it in a while. And then I'd either run through my Fender Hot Rod, it's the amp I use, and then, or if we're playing a smaller gig, I have like a little PV practice amp from like 92 that I use, and it's like super nice. It's super small, but that thing's loud.
Elliot's got some sort of PV guitar that has like I think he calls it like a 0 fret or like a 1 fret at the top of the
fret?
It's something fucking weird like that, dude.
That's crazy.
It's one of the coolest guitars that I've actually gotten a chance to play, if you ask me, but PV is very unique when you come across like any sort of PV pickup, right? Rather it be like a guitar or like some sort of piece of equipment. It just seems to always be some sort of pillar in a lot of things that really creative people seem to use.
I feel like they're not like as big of a company as they used to be either. Because I feel like I see like so many PV things around from like the 90s. Like they were like huge in the 90s. And like I feel like I'm sure they still make stuff, but I don't know anything about it. You know what I mean? Like I don't see people out there plugging around a new PV amp. I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
It's
no,
always like an old PV amp.
absolutely. Elliot's got him too. Jeremy, have you ever like? I mean, what do you think about that? You are here at Cosmic Supercore, and you see so much crazy shit come through.
Right? No, you're right. I haven't seen anything new, but I mean, I like PV. My first bass amp was PV. Billy uses the PV Valve King, and so I'm so I guess my ear is so used to that sound that I like it. You know.
It's got a raw sound.
Dude, you took the words right. I was just about to say that's such a raw sound. Like I can run. I have my custom Telecaster that I run Seymour Duncan hot rails in, and like all of a sudden I turn that thing on to fucking 10 just on my fucking guitar, and hear it come through a PV. It sounds like I have like this crazy overdrive on. Like I'm getting everything out of it.
Yeah, they're super nice. I loved playing with it. I miss playing with it, but I mean, I'm probably going to here soon. Trying to get some new stuff cooking.
Are you like a pawn shop hunter? Like, do you like go like try to find like crazy shit or anything like that? Elliot's my boy is so huge on that. He's like,
Just
you never
find-
believe.
look what I found, dude.
Yeah, I'm like
No.
a toaster. Like,
I've had the same equipment. Like once I got to a certain point, I think the last like major piece of equipment I bought was my Telecaster, my American Professional Tele that I bought. But now I just gotten to the point now. I feel like I have everything I need to do what I'm doing currently, so I haven't really I don't really shop for new stuff, like hardly ever.
yeah.
It's very rare.
If there was something new that you wanted, I mean, and let's go aside from your PC setup because I feel like that's very different. But like,
Yeah.
let's just talk about like musician equipment wise, as a guitar player, 1-to-1. Like, is there something that you would really want or like,
I really want a Gibson Firebird.
Oh,
and-
really?
And like an EVH amp. I've always wanted one of those, but I never got it.
I've seen those. I've seen some of the EVH like head combos or whatever they are.
Yeah, they're super nice. They got like that dirty sound, like pure like rock and roll sound for everyone that I've played through. I played a lot of those because I was beta testing stuff for Fender, like right before that.
Really?
Yeah, I was doing that for a while. I haven't done it in a while, but I'm still like in their system to beta test. I just haven't been thrown anything lately.
How'd you get into that?
The other band I'm in, the Real Fakes, two of the members in that band actually work for Fender. One of them is like the like bass amp engineer. He like designed the Rumble amp and stuff like that. So I've had like those guys offer, hey, do you want to beta test stuff? And when you beta test stuff, you get like Fender bucks or whatever, and then you can use those for other stuff like discounts on stuff.
Is there anything that you've tested? You're like, whoa.
Yeah, actually, they have a it's not new anymore, but it's called the Fender Reflecting Pool, and it's like a big old amp. It's like a reverb and a delay, and I got that before it came out to beta test it and try it out, and they let me keep it. And that's what right around the time we started the Real Fakes were starting to do stuff and like get like moving on writing songs, and I had like created this weird thing with it where I would just make weird sounds but have like total control over the sounds I was making. And Kevin had showed what I was doing with it to the guy who actually like designed the pedal, and he invited me over to his house for dinner, and he took the pedal apart in front of me and he like customized it to help do what I was doing more efficiently with it. So like the one I have is like one of a kind because he's tweaked it from like what the factory model is or whatever. But I've done that. I've talked about another thing. I'm not allowed to talk about a lot of stuff.
For sure.
But I've talked about a lot of like, I've been talking with them about stuff in the past of like new stuff that hasn't come out yet. That's like really cool. And they've asked for my input on. So it's been a cool experience. I haven't done it in a while, but I feel like things are different now. It's like, like we were saying, the pandemic really changed stuff. So it's been slower, but it was like a long time. Like, getting amps to try out and all this, like just tons of stuff.
Can you give us a quick rundown on your band, The Real Fakes? I'm not familiar.
Yeah, The Real Fakes were like an alternative 60s garage rock band. We take a lot of our influence from bands like The Seeds and just like that raw, like 60s psychedelic rock. And it's formed up of Kevin Michael Pryor, who was in a band with me and Elliot called Lead Chains.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and then he was a member of the Black Moods for many years, and they're like, they're like the big band out here right now. And then I have, Creamy. No, everyone calls him Creamy. His name's David Libman.
Doesn't ring a bell for me, Jeremy. Did that ring a bell for you? No, I guess not.
But yeah, we play we just actually recorded our first album. It took us a long time to get there, but we finally got it, and it's in like mixing right now. And it's just been a fun band to play that kind of music. It's not like really as in your face. It's people compare Kevin to like Lane Staley a lot, which I think he's more of like a Scott Weiland type voice, but a lot of people compare us to that stuff.
What did that recording process look like for you?
We recorded it at STEM Recording with Curtis, and basically we booked out for like 3 days, and the first day we just got together in the room. We live tracked the whole album.
Really?
We spent like 12, 13 hours just in there.
When you do a live tracking, are you guys all playing to a click? Or are you guys just all going off of what your drummer is doing?
We're all playing to a click. The drummer's the only one that hears the click though, and we go off of.
Really?
Yeah, that's how we did the whole thing, and we spent all day doing that first day, and then everything after that was like going to retrack stuff that we didn't like or whatever. Some of the songs on the record were from the live tracking session, but we more wanted that live feel of us in a room, because I feel like sometimes bands will lose that when they go into like recording, like if you're like scratch tracking guitars and then a drummer plays over that, and then you go back and like no one was ever in the same room together. I feel like you lose something when doing that.
Look at that dumbass over there.
You're getting a hug later, bro.
Elliot Diggs has finally joined us. He's hanging out in the booth with fucking Jeremy this one now. Justin had to take your place. Do you realize that? There's a mic in there. You can say sorry to us, literally.
Yeah, actually say sorry.
Fuck you.
Sincerely sorry. I apologize. I failed you.
Why are you talking like you're
Send him
ASMR?
in.
Hey, you want to swap out Justin?
Yeah, take this fucking problem from me.
Justin's having a
You're
hard
doing a-
time. Do you want to fucking go swap him in? We're going to swap out real quick, boys and girls. You just take a quick second.
Sorry, I'm dog shit at this. Apologies to Austin, who has to watch all this shit.
Oh, yeah. Our video of, sorry, Austin, you're just going to have to, actually, might not even cut. This could be a fucking quick swap out.
Quick swap out.
Welcome, Elliot Diggs, man.
Everyone give it up for Elliot Diggs.
Elliot Diggs, everybody.
There's those for you, bud.
He's
Now for
back.
those quality camera angles.
Does your shirt say pickles? What kind of pickles?
4 times.
Literally has a shirt that says pickles 4 fucking times.
Because pickles are the shit. Now my mom got me this and a whole like kit for making my own pickles.
She got you a kit. Your mom got you a kit for making her own pickles?
Like a jar, big old funnel, and all the vinegar and the spices and shit. I just got to find somewhere that's got little mini cucumbers.
I fucking hate pickles.
You don't like? Okay, so I got these pickles recently, and my mom got me into these. It's like they're Famous Dave's, and they're called like Devil Spit pickle slices.
Yeah.
Bro, those are fire.
Are they like a spicy pickle or something?
They're very spicy.
I don't mind like a little, like some of those little spicy pickles or whatever the fuck they are. Those are pretty good, I guess. Like,
I highly recommend this.
Really?
Yeah, I'll never eat another pickle on a burger ever again for the rest of my life. Like, these are the best.
I can't take a sliced pickle or sliced tomato on my burger because I feel like it ruins the taste. I feel like it's just juices coming in that I didn't need. But that's just me.
I don't know. I feel like it's adding variety. It's not just meat and cheese anymore. There's at least, you can pretend there's a nutrient.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could pretend.
You know damn well there ain't no lettuce on my burger.
There's a tomato, a couple pickles. That's vegetables.
Dude, you missed it. We were talking about PV equipment and shit. Like, what? So you have a guitar that has like a 0 fret? Or is that what it's called?
I don't, but yeah, 0 fret is what it's called.
What happened to that guitar? You used to have it.
Did I?
That PV guitar?
It doesn't have 0 fret. It has a metal nut.
Oh,
Nut is like steel or some shit.
I lied. Sorry, everybody. I thought Elliot had
That's a good
something
idea, though.
fucking
We need
cool.
to write that shit down. We'll make the 0 fret guitar.
Oh, it's a thing.
Oh,
It
we'll
is-
make the
it is
negative
very
1
nice.
fret guitar then.
Dude, in fucking in golf, I've been playing so much fucking golf, but like there is this club. I think it's called like a 1 or a 0 iron or something. It's pretty much just like a brick of metal that you try to hit as far as possible. It's wild. But John Daly, shout out if you watch this podcast, John Daly. But he's like the king of it and things like that. It's hilarious. Anyways, what were you originally talking about before we were so rudely interrupted
I
by
don't remember
Pickle Diggs?
pickle.
Did you hear about what happened with that whole Rick and Morty thing?
Bro, ugh,
It's so depressing.
Why, dude? Like now Rick and Morty's like over, dude. Like, cause is the guy that did like the voices is the guy that got,
And he was a co-writer.
yeah, he's like he's a big part of the show. So it's like if they get rid of him, it's like, well, Rick and Morty's over, dude. Like no one wants to see a new voice for Rick. I mean,
And listen, I wasn't sticking up for the guy or anything. The only thing that I heard was that like he got drunk and put some hands on his wife or his significant other. I don't even know if they were married. I'm like, well, that's fucking bullshit. Not good. But then I heard a rumor that they also found text messages of him texting.
like 15-year-olds and stuff.
Yes, like, and that's what ruined everything.
Oh, that'll ruin everything.
Yeah,
They still had many more seasons. Like I forget, they said they a long time ago it's like 72 more episodes when they disappeared for that long period of time, but we haven't even gotten close to 72.
no, like it's such a bummer.
That
You know what I mean?
sucks.
Me and Elliot, when we were living in the rundown house together, we would watch animes where a season wouldn't come out for another fucking 4 years or something. The wait, yeah.
Hard wait.
It's
And now it's just like I think we're about to wait for nothing.
yeah.
Especially just him coming out with a video game and everything like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did just come out with a game, huh?
What do you, if I had to ask, when we talk about cancel culture and things like that, let's take Michael Jackson.
Okay.
It's the hardest one. It's
Here we go.
it's just the hardest
This
one.
is why you
Right?
got me here, dude. You're trapping me, dude.
It's just the hardest
Talk about
one.
MJ, dude.
Well, I mean, like, because, like, you have such a generation of people who's like, we still play his music, even though he probably did some bad things. But then you have, like, celebrities like Bill Cosby, who did some really bad things
Yeah.
and, like, absolutely canceled, and R. Kelly and things like that. And it's just weird to watch, like, do you have to have a good enough craft to be tolerated for the bad things you did?
I don't understand it in general because I mean, like, what's the standard of cancel culture? Like, why haven't we canceled Guns N' Roses? You know, they have us. You know, they clearly have us. You know, yeah,
Elvis.
Elvis.
Like
yeah.
who are we canceling and who we're not canceling? Because I got a list, dude, of people that have done some shit, dude. And we haven't said
Eric
nothing.
Clapton.
Yeah,
Hey.
fuck. You know what, dude? We always agree on that.
Eric
Fuck
Clapton.
Eric Clapton, dude.
Yeah, fuck Eric Clapton.
Fuck Eric Clapton.
Fuck
Yeah,
Eric
fuck
Clapton.
Eric Clapton.
Please elaborate. Lay it on me. I'm not
He
like.
said some really bad shit in front of a crowd.
And blamed it on drinking.
What about Kanye West?
Right.
See, but like this is like what I'm talking about. Like where everyone's supporting this new Pantera thing. Did we forget that what Phil did at that one show where he was like doing the Heil thing in front of an audience and they had to like
What?
rip him off stage? Have you seen that video?
No.
No
You
way.
go look it up,
No.
dude. It's like what's the standard here? We're just letting certain people get away with stuff because their status is bigger, and we're gonna like I just don't understand. Like if we're gonna come after people for this stuff and like make people be responsible for their actions, why are we not making everybody responsible on an equal level?
I think it's very strange when you know that someone is going to go down as a great, right? So, and two of the examples, if I had to give, is like no matter what, R. Kelly and Kanye West are going to go down as some of the greatest. They really are,
No, they are.
but they're terrible people.
They are. Don't get me started on Kanye, man. He hurt my feelings too many times, dude.
Bro, it's devastating to watch someone who is obviously mentally ill. Just
Burn himself to the ground. Dude.
he's literally just setting himself on fire. It's insane. I mean, it's-
College Dropout was sick though.
dude, even some of his like there's this one song, I don't know the name of the song, but one song on like his like I think it was like his Christian album or whatever it was. It slapped. It slapped so hard. I was like, this is wild.
he's got some banger Christian music, which it's just like really, it's just
It's bizarre.
it's bizarre to be like, oh man, I've praised God, but also, you know, saying all this other stuff where it's like, okay, dude, like, what's your deal, bro?
And he just keeps. It's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't say those things, and he just doubles down.
He seems like a child where it's like, hey, like, don't do this. And he's like, oh, shit, he told me not to do this, so I'm going to do this. It just seems like what it's become now.
It's
Either
a-
that or he's trying to, like, get himself out of fame on purpose and get himself out of contracts and stuff.
But
He's-
when
I don't really know what's going on.
I
but
mean, it's just wild. But when you hear J.P. Morgan is like, hey, we're shutting down your money. Like, what? Like, can you imagine doing something wrong, like jaywalking and like, hey, your bank account will like is no longer? That would freak me out personally, but he's just such a wild individual. Is he an amazing producer, artist, whatever you want to call him? Yes.
Yes.
Is he absolutely mentally unstable? Yes.
But a lot of my favorite people are. They just never said those things, you know?
How
What?
often do those go hand in hand?
Pretty often, dude.
Well, I mean, look at Van Gogh. Everyone thought Van Gogh was insane. He made some of the best paintings at the time and cut off his own ear out of
Right?
insanity,
Yeah.
you know? And it is just wild to watch a car crash so often at this
Yeah.
point with one person.
Daily.
Like, how many times can
Every
you get in
day,
a car
someone
crash?
new every
Yeah.
day. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, wake up and who's getting hit today, dude, or something.
It is wild, man. And especially since, I mean, but you see some people come back, like Louis C.K., a comedian.
They make a comeback.
Yeah, he made a comeback, and he was creepy. He did some creepy things. He didn't do anything as bad as these other people, but you
like-
wonder what it takes to have a comeback after doing something so
to make
odd.
people forget about something, you know?
Yeah, I mean, do we ever really forget? Is like one question, and like am I gonna watch Rick and Morty differently now? I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna watch those old episodes differently, but I'm always gonna
I'm
know.
not even gonna lie, dude. I was watching Rick and Morty this morning, dude.
Really?
I'm trying to finish. I'm on season 5. I'm almost done. I'm not gonna stop now. I gotta finish, dude.
Do any of these things that like you watch or just intake like influence any of your music?
Yeah. Like Seinfeld's always been a big one, which is really weird.
Really?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
make Seinfeld references, and I've honestly sampled some Seinfeld stuff, not music, but like snippets from the show and stuff. That, and then the Marx Brothers is a big one for me too. My album that's coming out in May is like really centered around a bunch of Marx Brother-esque like humor and stuff. Like very, I've really liked their comedy. And I feel like in a way I've kind of brought that style of comedy into my own music, and just with the weird stuff that I say in my music, and
Yeah.
like get
Right
like
off what you're saying, would you say like dramatic irony in some of these like?
yeah, like I mean my music is pretty much like I roast myself in my music, but I enjoy doing it. It's a nice way to not forget, dude. These things.
Absolutely.
But I really like film scores and stuff too, and I feel like I've brought in a lot of that with me into my music too. I really just like the composition of film scores and stuff, so I feel like that's been a big influence on my music also.
Film scores. What? So do you YouTube these things? Like, how did you get into film scores?
Growing up, my dad was like, I grew up in a household. I'm like the first person to like be like a serious musician in my family, but my dad's like always loved music for a long time, and I just grew up around these things. I grew up around the Beach Boys is my favorite band because it's always been in my life since like as far as I can remember. And my dad was really into like orchestral stuff, so he would always, and he loved movies, so like those two things go hand in hand depending on what movie you watch and stuff. So he would always be like playing film scores to like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or like he really liked the Predator score, which is like really just and I've just always heard that stuff, and I've always been exposed to that stuff my whole life, so I've just naturally been attracted to it.
Do you think, if I had to guess, like some of these film scores, if you wanted to call it, they're almost like coming back on TikTok in like a weird way. Like someone will take something from like The Office where he's like about to jump, like Steve Carell's about to jump off the roof,
Yeah.
and someone will do like an emo riff over it. Like I don't know,
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
it's only funny when people play like metalcore riffs over like kids getting mad or something. You know what I mean? Those are my favorite ones, dude.
One of the darkest ones that I saw is this guy on TikTok has this account. It's called like or what he does is 808s drops at like the most inappropriate moments, and it'll be like a scene from Marley and Me where they're putting down their fucking dog.
I just saw that movie on HBO. I'm like, oh, Owen
Dude.
Wilson I've never heard of this movie, and I was like, oh, it's rated PG. I'm gonna have to
When
pass
they-
on this one.
Dude, it's so wild because like you're watching this emotional scene, and they're putting this beautiful dog down, and they all love it. And then as soon as they inject it and they watch the dog like doze off, it's like boom, 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 boom. Like
Is that
something.
the end? Is that the end of the movie?
Dude, it's something
I
I've
don't need
never
to wa-
seen it, but like I just watched this dude. I saw something of Harry Potter when someone dies, and he just drops like something that sounds like it should be in 3-6 Mafia, like
That's
over it.
awesome.
It's hilarious.
TikTok's
Dude.
crazy, bro. Like there's like I find like pockets of like funny stuff a lot, but like I can't with like the people doing the lip syncing to like certain stuff and like the dances that these girls make their boyfriends do. It's like so I'm just like, dude, like come on, man.
Some of the most I love the cringe TikToks. Like I really do. Like kind of the darker side of TikTok, I guess you could say. But like it'll be either like in someone an old woman in their 50s trying to lip sync Guns N' Roses or like Three Doors Down, and it just
Oh my
looks
God,
terrible. And
it's so
they're like
bad.
in their trailer with bad eye, and then that's just for me, it's hilarious.
I honestly miss Vine. I think Vine was better than TikTok in my opinion.
It's wild how much we accept TikTok with how much it like really has so much of our information.
Yeah, they're really not quiet about how bad TikTok is, but
No,
everyone's like, "Did you see this video of someone dancing today?"
it's wild because we all accept it. They're like, hey, we know what you're typing to your friends. We can see you on your camera. We know everything that's on your phone, and everyone's like, cool. And India just banned it. India completely banned TikTok from their country at all, and they immediately came up with an alternative. But it's wild that as Americans or whatever you want,
We don't care.
we don't care, and like it doesn't look like anyone cares. And everyone's like, what's China doing with that, data? Like, well, nothing yet, but they have it all. Like
No, they're
they'll
gonna.
use
I
they'll
don't know
use
what
it.
they're gonna use it for. Like,
I don't either, man. It's just it is so
send me some
wild.
free stuff or what? Like,
Um Ryan
the internet got you a Christmas present, dude. It's been watching your search history.
there's a series on Hulu, and I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. But Ryan Reynolds and one of the guys from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia bought a soccer team in England that was failing. And they have invested all this money into the soccer team, like whether it be new players and things like that, to get into basically like the major leagues of soccer. And one of their biggest sponsors is TikTok. And all Ryan Reynolds and this guy from It's Always Sunny has to do, is, post these TikToks, be with the fans, and it's millions of views, brings in so much revenue, and it's wild. It's just such a wild platform to see how it brings in money and like fame and all these things. It's
Yeah.
insane. Um, do you do you think? I mean, I don't even know how to put this question, but watching the music industry fit into this new social media platform. I mean, back in the Disney, you didn't have to be on social media, and there was no fucking social media for musicians.
No,
And
that
now
wasn't
it's
that long ago.
no, it wasn't that long ago, and now it's like if you're a musician, you better fucking have it.
You're not just a musician. You're a content creator. You have to like be like, you have to like get the people's attention who don't have the attention span to listen to a full 40-minute album, which, as being musicians, like really like we want to do that. That's like, we love listening to albums. Well, we love making albums, but nobody loves listening to albums. Like the average non-musician listener,
Yes, we always talk about in bands like, oh, how would we want this album to go front to back? And then it started becoming like, okay, do we want to put out 10, 13 songs, or should we put out 2 projects that are 5 songs each? And
That's
then it
honestly a
like
better move.
yeah, and then it like comes down to like, should we just fucking release singles all the time?
Yeah,
Because it's just, do a video with it, and you do a lot of video work.
I do. I've taken a lot of pride in that the last few years. I really like doing it. I was in like media production in high school, so before I had even really started taking music seriously, like I wanted to be in film and stuff and do all that. So I did that for a long time before, and then music just became my priority at one point, and I just stopped doing it. And now that I've gotten to a point where I've been able to like afford to do those things with my music, I've been wanting to do that more because I feel like me growing up and like because I didn't always like hip hop music, like but when I started to like it a lot, like I was always exposed to different things through music videos, and I would always discover artists through like YouTube playlists or whatever. So I've always taken that with me, and I always want to do that with my own music because I feel like people are going to remember, oh yeah, that's the guy who does the video in the desert where he's running from the Terminator trumpet guy, and like
The song is called "Stop Calling Me."
yeah.
what went into that video shoot? Because that video shoot was, I mean, you guys were at so many different locations. You had a group of people with you. The locations were insane on some of these.
Yeah.
What went into that video?
It was it took like a month or so of like storyboarding and getting the plan together before we actually executed.
Did
And
you work with someone outside to like shoot?
I worked with Danny Torgerson from Captain Squeegee. He's touring with Greaves. He does a lot of. He's just
Very
always on the
familiar.
road.
Yeah.
But I had become. Do you know Dubs Whitma at all?
I'm not familiar now.
He doesn't live here anymore, but he was a radio jockey on 93.9, and him and Danny were living together for a brief moment. And Dubs lived right by my house, so I would go hang out at Dubs' house a lot, and that's how I met Danny. And I knew of Captain Squeegee for many years, but I never actually knew anybody from the band.
I had heard them a handful of times on 93.9. They were fantastic.
Yeah, and so I had sent him the track that I wanted. I said, dude, I want you to shred your trumpet. And then I ended up putting the song together, did the storyboard for the video, and then he was like had a hectic tour schedule. So we had like a certain amount of time where it was like, dude, we have like 5 to 6 hours with you to film this video in the desert. And we did back-to-back days of filming. So the first day was in the desert. The second day was city stuff.
Where was that desert?
It was in Kingman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You guys went far.
We went hella far. I had
It's
to go
like
like
5
200
hours from here.
I had to go like 200 miles an hour to like get there and back and film everything on time. And I've never experienced like wind burn before, but that shit's crazy.
Like being in a hairdryer?
Yeah, like because you're in the middle of this desert. There's literally not a bush anywhere around. It's just flat dirt. It was like a dry lake beds, and it's just super windy that day, and it was hot because it was like late May, and we're just like in the sun, just getting burned by this wind. But we just hustled up and hit everything in time to get back. I got him back just in time. Next day we got up, and I gathered everybody to show up to the shoot, which Elliot was actually at the shoot.
I saw him in there.
And we filmed illegally downtown for like a good whole day.
Illegally? I mean, I saw you guys running through the streets.
Yeah, we're running through the streets. I'm surprised the cops didn't come, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun to do that and work with that specific filmographer or cinematographer. I don't know.
Ellie, you were in Moons, Birds, and Monsters with him as well, right?
Yeah, for 3 gigs.
Yeah.
3 gigs.
Yeah.
Discuss some of that with him real quick. I'll be right back.
All right, let's discuss stuff, Elliot.
Let's discuss. So when we get back together,
I don't know, man.
somebody had, what was it you said? Like, man, really miss playing metal.
I do really
Something like
not metal, but like I just miss shredding. Like that's who I am. Like I mean, I'm like I enjoy making the rap music, but guitar is just where my heart is.
I feel that.
But yeah, I'm trying to get things off the ground right now with Zach. We don't have a bass player, and I think I made a bunch of bass players mad with my post the other day, which is fine.
I didn't see that post. What did you say? I'm a bass player.
We were talking about getting a bass player, and Zach was like, "Well, just get someone to stand up there and just plug him in. We won't turn him on or anything. He's just for looks or whatever." And I was like, and I said, "They're basically furniture, lol." And then Dakota's like, "We're referring to all basses as furniture now."
That seems about right.
This is our
Oh shit! I
bassist.
forgot you're out there, bro.
You are currently surrounded by bassists.
No, Elliot's moves around a lot, so he is far from furniture.
No, man. I mean, I love bass. If he anyone who took that post seriously doesn't know me because you go listen to any of my songs. Bass is a huge part of my sound, and
of course.
But let's be real though. A lot of people be playing the bass like a guitar, dude.
Yeah. It's not uncommon. It's good because all of us are guitar players.
know,
We're
we're
like,
just-
well, shit, we can't have 5 guitar players. in
You
the
have
band.
to play the bass.
One of us has to learn the bass. One of us has to learn the drums. And then we can be a band.
I never thought I'd be in a day where it'd be this. I feel like it's just hard to start a band now. I don't know if it's a lot of work, dude.
Yeah. I got coworkers trying to start bands all the time, falling through and shit.
It's hard.
I know I'm new to this conversation, but I feel like the hardest part is just keeping a band together. You know what I mean?
I feel like the easiest part to keeping a band together is you have to be like really good friends with at least 1 or 2 people in that band for the band to like really function and like be like a moving unit that's never gonna stop. Like if you like a band of just like 4 dudes who just met each other, like I mean that could work, But in my experience, like I feel the most uncomfortable in those scenarios. I need like my rock somewhere in the band.
Do you feel like doing the Comptalo stuff, like, because it seems like you have more of features than like bandmates, if I'm not mistaken, correct? When it comes to some of your stuff?
Yeah, I try to keep what I'm doing separate. Like I try to keep my more like hip hop driven stuff by myself. But my bass player Jamie, she plays on everything. She's been my right hand dude since I started wanting to really take the Comptalo thing super seriously and make it like my main focus. So she plays on almost everything unless it's like a really banger track with 808s, like that doesn't need a bass guitar on it.
What does a live performance look like for you?
We're a big band. I think the biggest we've been was 7 people, and just basic setup: drums, guitar, bass, vocals. I'll play guitar sometimes, but most of the set, like I don't even play guitar on most of our set. I'm just the front man, which is like totally new for me. Never done that before. Took me a while to fall into that, and then I'll rotate in keyboard players or like Danny will come play with us, and he's multi-instrumentalist, so he'll play like different instruments, and then I have a DJ in the back who runs all of our samples and stuff to the drummer and everything, and then he has like scratches and stuff, and he like sings with us too and does like percussion. So we have that. We're like a pretty big project. It's hard to fit on a stage sometimes. Like we struggle to like fit sometimes.
How do you, being in punk rock, like, when we get up for shows or we hear of shows going around, like, be like, hey, we're looking for like ska acts or we're looking for like skate punk acts or, maybe like more of like Celtic punk or whatever it is. When you have something as unique as you do, you don't have anything that sounds like everyone else.
No, it's hard to find shows.
That's got to be tough.
Unless it's like the people that I'm like, the scene that I'm in right now, which is like, the Tempe scene is like a big thing that I'm playing around the last couple of years. But it's hard to get gigs, I feel like it was easier to get the type of gigs I was looking for through rock music and stuff like that. Or I just haven't found that avenue yet to like be able to do that yet,
Yeah.
Because I am so weird. Like I can't open for a national rock act because we're not rock. No one wants to hear, what we're doing. But I can't exactly go open for like a hip hop act that's coming through town because I'm not hip hop enough. So I'm like in this weird like middle zone of like I don't know where I fit in, and I've been like trying to find that piece that I fit in. You know what I mean?
If you did have to share the stage with, even just throw it out there, any of your favorites, but like you doing what you do right now and the things that you are dedicated to, what can you see Comptalo sharing a stage with?
I feel like I would be more drawn to like sharing the stage with like a modern pop band like Tame Impala or something of that vein of music, like something that's like, because I feel like a lot of the Tame Impala fans are like the Coachella type listeners, you know what I mean? That like that overall arc of music, that like they like stuff that grooves, you know what I mean? So like a band like that for sure. I feel like I would almost fit in, but we're like crazy, man. Like we're like it's like loud and like we're hype and like I don't know. It's just we're just a weird thing. I'm trying to find my place,
Well, I think exactly what you said right there, like kind of that Coachella-esque, genre. Like I don't even know what to say because Coachella has everything.
It's different now, but like you know what I mean. Like
yeah,
your Tame Impalas, your fucking I don't know. Jungle. I don't know if you ever heard of a band called Jungle.
I don't think I have. Elliot?
No. You need to listen to
Jane
Jungle.
And the Jungle.
You need to listen to just Jungle.
Just Jungle.
Yeah.
Jane and the Jungle are in this building, aren't they?
Are they here right now?
Jeremy knows.
Yes, I love Jane in the Jungle.
Yeah, they're in this building. They have a practice space here.
Crazy.
Small world.
Yeah, small
world.
world.
Town, I guess.
I guess.
And we're all here
Small
in
town,
Phoenix.
fifth biggest city.
It's
Small town.
It's wild how much we're growing, man. Everyone's leaving California. Snowbirds are here right now.
We're becoming California.
I guess so.
It's bad.
Yeah, do you think so?
Well, that's like, I mean, I'm still like living, like I'm not, but it's getting harder to live. I mean, I work at a grocery store, so like I watch everything just go like this all the time,
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
Dude, eggs. People be wearing eggs like chains these days.
Dude, it's wild what's going on with eggs. Well, apparently it's because of a bunch of birds were fucking sick. That's what I heard.
A huge bird flu, but like something like that, like you don't just recover from that right away. It's gonna take time to like get back to like being able to.
I mean, you just put the nest 6 feet apart. the heck is wrong with
I don't think it works like that.
They don't even get them
Oh.
6 inches apart. I was just talking about this at dinner last night, dude.
Oh yeah, dude. Those chickens are fucking. They fill them so full of steroids that they like outgrow their cages and things like that. And if someone's like, I can't remember who it was, but I was like eating chicken. They're like, that's full of steroids. I'm like, well, I don't want no bitch chicken. Like, I want something big and fat, but all at the same time, it's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fucking terrible. What do you do for eats when you're doing music? Do you fucking snack or do you order shit or?
I usually like to perform on a relatively empty stomach. Like if I do a show, like I typically will I get sushi or something like super light, because I need that victory meal after the gig. I need those Filiberto's carne asada
Yes.
fries
Oh,
after the
yeah,
show.
baby.
Yeah,
Nice.
but yeah, I don't really snack at practice. Don't ever just drink water. Hardly ever drink beer at practice or at shows. I've been on a Moscow Mule kick for a while now, and that's
I wish I liked ginger beer more.
it's really good because it doesn't give you a hangover. The ginger beer is like magic liquid that it's like nah, no hangover for you, dude. It works. I'm telling you, man. Drink anything else, I'll get a hangover. That I'm good, man.
What do you want the next few years to look like? I mean, we're coming out of COVID. Shows are back in swing. People are coming out with music. Some bands survived. Some bands didn't. We've kind of seen what has come out of this. So what do you want the next few years to really look like for you? And mainly, I mean, I know you're a part of a few other things, but the Comptalo, it's such a unique sound, and like you do so much with it, whether it be the video work, the features, the music itself, and especially since you're doing so much of it on your own. What do you really want the next few years to look like for you?
Well, this year I'm really focused. I got a video coming out in March, got an album coming out in May. I'm putting out a vinyl this year in March also. So that's like what I want to do, and I really want to use, all of these things to help me fund to do bigger things. I really want to get into like Spotify and Apple Music ad like marketing and like playlisting. I really want to start sinking my money into that because I feel like that's like where you should as an artist now. And I want to start, the next few years. I really want to play with some, some national acts or like take my band on the road for like a weekend warrior thing and like really just try to get the name out in my general area because I'm working with people, I collab with people in the UK, Australia, Canada, all over the United States. I've collabed with people. So like my name is out there to a certain extent. It may not be big, but like people know my name across different people. So I want to like take my act to around those people and like in the surrounding Southwest area and do all that stuff and just see where it takes me, I mean, I'm not out here trying to like chase stars or anything, I'm just doing it because I really love to make music. And it's always like, regardless if I do it seriously, like I'll always be making music to some extent in my life.
Yeah. Do you think? Huge question here. And the way that things go now, like, do you feel like you continue to do this independently and just kind of grow yourself, whether it be your equipment, your computer setup, all these things? Or do you chase labels and do you chase these things or
I've never really chased the label before. I've been approached by a couple, but I didn't do anything. Just didn't seem like a right fit for me. But I feel like unless you're signing with Capital or something crazy, like there's not much a label's gonna do for you or do for me that I'm already not able to do myself, whether it be the studio time or getting the shows in town or like, I mean, I can do all that myself. So it's like, unless someone comes, unless I find some kind of deal that's like worth it, like I don't have any desire to do that. I want to stay independent as long as I can. Maybe have people help me, reel in the social media and really figure out how to break through that wall because that's hard.
do you think that's going to be? I mean, social media is so wild, and especially like I'm not on Twitter or anything, but like to see people buying blue check marks and then like being on Facebook that you see that you kind of do pay for your page to be more in a feed and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think social media is pretty much just the new way to go being any sort of content creator? Like there obviously it is, but how much time do you have to put into that? And like I'm just wondering, like, especially with someone who's not very good with social media, you know, what does your social media have to look like? What do you have to do to expand that? Or what have you learned on how to expand that?
Um, I've kind of just like spent the last few years just soaking it in from the people that it's actually, you know, working for, that like are people that I know, and kind of just pick their brains on what they're doing and kind of like try to do the same thing. It's worked for me a little bit. But I feel like the social media aspect is bigger than your, you know, whatever art you're making. Your social media presence like you have to be someone who's like people want to be interested in you through a 15-second video, and you have to like make these people fucking love you in like 15 to 30 seconds and be like, this is my house, this is my shit, welcome to my house, come on in. Like you have to like be that person, and like I'm really struggling to find that person, because I'm kind of a recluse, antisocial at sometimes. I'm like an ambivert. So I'm like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, like I'll be like a social butterfly. And other times I'm like, I'm literally going to stay in my room and play Resident Evil. Like I'm not talking to anybody. So, I mean, it's like really hard to find that avenue for, you know, different people, because some people don't want to be in front of people like that, you know, and it's hard.
Jeremy, how we looking on time, bud?
Well, Tyler, I'm glad you asked. We're at 65 minutes.
I think that might be just perfect, buddy.
Okay.
Would you like to tell everyone where you can be found?
Yeah.
And
What camera am I looking at?
you're looking at that
This
one
guy
right
right
up there.
here?
Yeah.
What up? Yo, this is Comptalo, a.k.a. Comptalo, a.k.a. Cantaloupe, a.k.a. Camel Toe, a.k.a. Comptalo. We got an album coming out this year on May 5th. It's called Tape Deck Sunsets Volume 1. It's like a mixtape, I guess. I got that coming out. I got a music video with my good friend Judo Chop dropping on March 5th. March 4th, I have a vinyl release at the Melrose Day Parade. Big festival show down there. And then you can find me on any social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Comptalo. I'll be the only thing that comes up.
Go ahead and spell it out for the people.
Comptalo. I get why people say Comptalo, though. It's kind of...
It is fun to say. I've been saying it like that for
and
a
I'm
long
tall,
time.
so like it makes sense, you know?
Yeah, it sounds Latin.
Yeah.
It sounds sexy, mysterious.
But yeah, you can find all the music there. Constantly dropping new stuff. Got a hard drive full of songs I'm trying to like get emptied out, and just check me out on all the platforms, Spotify, all that stuff, and just be on the lookout for new music this year. And my new single, Bands Up, comes out on February 5th.
Awesome, dude. Dude, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks,
I'm a huge fan. It really means a lot to you, to me, excuse me. It means a lot to you.
It means a lot to me.
You know what? It means a lot to you, really. No, it means so much to me that you took the time to come out. We're getting this thing started back up again, and it's great to have someone like you come in. It really is. And I love what you're doing, man. Like this sound that you have made, developed, I can't describe it. I can't put a fucking label on it. I can't call it anything. And it's so unique. It's so fucking good. I love the people that you're involved with, the footage, the music, everything that you're coming out with is fucking spot on, dude. And I'm really stoked to see what you do next, man. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks for having me, man.
Cheers, dude. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Chug it.
I'm Tyler Silva. That's Elliot Diggs. That's Justin Reed. That's Jeremy Daniels. That's my boy Comptalo over here. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye, everybody.
Yeah. The rundown with Silva. Rundown with Silva. The run.